Hi everyone, thank you so much for taking the time to tune into this MIO Talks on depression. My name's John Griesby, and I work in the Sittingbourne branch, which is in Kent region. And a bit of background for me, I've worked for the company for 22 years. I've been married to Angela for 31. I have 3 grown-up but brilliant kids and an amazing granddaughter. And 4 years ago, I was diagnosed with depression. I'm currently off now as well with an episode of depression, and I thought, what would really cheer people up in 2020, given it's been such a brilliant year and a year of happiness? What would put an even bigger smile on your face? And I decided to make a video about depression. But in all seriousness, thank you very much for joining, and hopefully we can learn something today. There's 2 areas that I want to talk you through. Number one, I want to talk you through my story, so how my depression came about and how I dealt with it, and what it felt like, really, what it felt like for me. The second point I'd like to talk about is something that we don't talk about often enough. It's about how we support the people that support the people. So if you're living with somebody with a mental illness, what are some of the top tips that you can do to ensure that you remain fit and healthy and able to take care of that person? So back to my story. About 4 years ago, like I say, I was diagnosed, and it was a bolt out of the blue, really, because I didn't know what really depression was. I'd heard about it, and I generally thought it was people just feeling sad. Didn't know what it was. Plus the fact my life was pretty good. I had most things that I wanted. Had a great life, so I had no reason to be depressed. But I was finding more and more that I was waking up each morning, and all of the things that I used to enjoy, all of the things that added joy to my life, no longer did. And I'm embarrassed to say, but that was family, that was work, that was socializing, that was pastimes, that was hobbies, everything. Nothing added any value, and I didn't want to do it anymore, and I lost complete interest. The other thing I found as well was that I had not just a constant feeling of immense sadness, but a constant feeling of not being good enough, a constant feeling that I'd let people down, a constant feeling that I wasn't up to whatever it was that I was doing, and that I was the worst person in the room. And I believed people believed this about me as well, but maybe smiled on the outside, but thought it on the inside. The sadness as well was like just a crushing feeling of, if you've ever been, or have you ever suffered bereavement in your family, and I'm sorry if you have, but that feeling that you get in your stomach, that horrible turmoil, churning, it's that 24/7. And like I say, that's the best analogy I can give to feeling that. With regards to tiredness, you feel exhausted, and everything takes so much effort, and sometimes it takes every bit of effort you've got just to get out of bed, and it doesn't matter how long you've slept either. You wake up and you feel exhausted, and that feeling of when you haven't slept for so long you feel sick, it's that again, but 24/7, and everything is so much effort to do when you've suffered or suffering from depression. I think probably what was the biggest kick for me, because I eventually went to the doctors, and I lead an unhealthy lifestyle, but I very rarely go to the doctors, was that I actually woke up one morning and I didn't care that I'd woken up. If I hadn't have woken up, I wouldn't have cared less. That's not to say that I was suicidal. Thank God I've never had suicidal thoughts. And sadly, a lot of people that have mental illness do have them. And even more sad, a lot of people do act on them. But that wasn't me. But I didn't really care whether I woke up or not. And that's not the same as not wanting to wake up. I just didn't care. This kind of kicked me into shape, and I went to see the doctor. And like I say, it's rare for me. I'm not accustomed to going to see the doctor, and it was really embarrassing and it was really uncomfortable because the doctor asked me what was wrong, and I said I feel sad. Sounds stupid. I feel sad. I've got no energy. I feel bereaved. I'm exhausted. I think I'm not good enough. I think I'm a burden. I can't make decisions. I can't make any decisions at all, and the decisions I make are the wrong ones, and I can't concentrate on anything for more than 5 minutes. And whereas before I'd be quite confident as a speaker, I found it difficult to talk, and I felt awkward in social interventions. And it actually got quite emotional, to be fair, and that in itself shocked me, because especially as a bloke, blokes tend not to. It's not always the case, but they tend not to show their emotions as much as women, and for me certainly not. But to be emotional in front of a strange doctor was really out of my comfort zone. But if you're ever worried about that, or worried about going to see the doctor, I would say please don't be. The doctor was fantastic. They recommended three courses of action for me. Number one, they signed me off from work, which was a relief for me, because I didn't have to play up to what I wasn't anymore. Number two, they recommended medication. Now, medication for depression, we classify as happy pills. Just to let you know, the pills, they don't make you happy. Generally, whatever pills you get recommended, they take 2 to 3 weeks to work. But what they do is they make you feel numb. They take away any feelings, really, that you have. Numb to everything. So you don't feel happy, you don't feel sad, you're just in this kind of fog of greyness the whole time, which sometimes is just as bad as having depression. But once you formulate and start that as your base for recovery, it certainly found that it helped me as I kind of moved forward. The third thing that the doctor recommended was counselling. Now, the doctor said that counselling will help 100% of the people 100% of the time, as long as you find the right counsellor. So this one can be a bit hit and miss, because again, you're putting yourself in a very vulnerable position. You're talking to a stranger on the end of the telephone or face to face about your innermost fears, thoughts, and shortcomings. And again, that can be very emotional and very tiring and very draining, and very alien to people that aren't used to expressing their emotions. But over the course of time, and it took quite a long while, and I can honestly say it probably got a little bit worse before it began to get better. But after a while of all of those treatments, I started to find that I was regaining some of my confidence. I was finding that, not in everything, but I was beginning to find joy in the smaller things. And probably after about 8 or 9 weeks, I was fit enough to return to work on a phased basis. I found that I was ready to introduce myself back into society in little bits. I don't think you're ever the same, because the thing is with depression, it never leaves you. It never goes. It's always there. You just learn to manage it better. And at the end of this video, when you watch the Black Dog video by the World Health Organization, it talks about the fact that you learn to manage it. You learn to identify the signs of times where you might need to step back and take a couple of days out just to kind of regather your thoughts. But I'm still learning. Like I say to you now, I'm in a phase where the medication, the counselling, the support, the talking didn't help this stage. And I was in need of taking time out and sitting in a room by myself, which is where I'm at the moment. But I am getting better. It's hard, but I am getting better. And that's the overlying thing. You will get better. You'll only get better, though, with the support of the people around you. And this was the second thing I wanted to discuss, just how important it is that if you are somebody that is living with somebody that has depression, first of all, thank you. You have my admiration, because it's really not an easy thing to do. But second of all, what are the tips that I would give you? What is essential that you do? The first thing is you need to make sure you take care of yourself. And that's easier said than done, but you need to make sure that you're eating correctly, you're sleeping whenever you can, you're getting exercise, you've got somebody that's supporting you, that's somebody you can go to completely independently and scream and shout and kick and swear at, because you need a release of those emotions somewhere. So it's really important that you have got somebody that supports you. The second thing I'd say is educate yourself. Educate yourself about the illness the individual's going through. If it's depression or if it's anxiety or if it's any other mental illness at all, understand what it means to be depressed and what are the traits of somebody who has depression, because you will find that people that are depressed go through quite severe mood swings, and they can go from very talkative to not wanting to talk within a sentence. And it's very easy to take that personally and get confused and angered by that. So, like I say, don't take it personally. Do try and understand and educate yourself as to what you're kind of dealing with. Offer hope to that individual. And by that, I mean, it will get better. They will get better. But more importantly, they're not going to walk on this journey on their own. You're going to be with them and you're going to support them every step of the way. And you're going to be the crutch that they can lean on if they need to. And you're going to be the person that picks them up if they fall. But eventually you will come out of the darkness into the light on the other side. And it's a journey you're going to make together. That's immensely reassuring and helpful for somebody that does have depression and feels that nobody cares. I think the final thing to say is demonstrate your love for that individual. If you love them, tell them. And if you already tell them twice as much as you normally do. It's brilliant to hear when you have an illness. It's brilliant to hear that there's somebody out there that does love you, that is rooting for you and wants to support you. I would also say that if there's anything at all that I've gone through that's resonated with you directly or indirectly, at the end of this video, I'm going to leave up the numbers of the support groups, the foundations and the charities that you can jot down in the confidentiality of your own home to call if ever you need it. But I'm also leaving my personal email and telephone number in the credits at the end, so right at the end, because I get it that sometimes you might want to speak to somebody that isn't a family member, isn't somebody you know or love or work with. You just want to speak to somebody that has maybe gone through it and not necessarily can offer you advice, but you can offload on, and I'm more than happy for that. And listen, I'm no expert, and I would always recommend that you seek medical and professional help, but I'm a really good listener and it would be 100% confidential. So if you do find you'd like to do that, please stay until the end credits. Before I kind of wrap up, listen, there's three people or three areas I'd like to thank. First of all, I'd like to recognise and thank Santander for the way that they deal with mental well-being. The way the company addresses this is great. My boss has been great, David Heisman, so thank you, David, as well. The level of understanding that the company show, for which is difficult for them as well, is immense, so thank you. I also want to thank my work colleagues, especially the guys in Sittingbourne branch. I understand that when somebody is off work for whatever reason, it's a drain on everybody else that they have to do a little bit extra to compensate. So guys, listen, if ever you feel that you're not appreciated, you really are in my eyes. Thank you so much, and I hope to be back with you soon. The final person I'd like to thank is my family, but most importantly my wife Angela, for being there, for being my crutch, for being the person that picks me up when I need to, and for being with me on this journey. And I know it's not easy, and it's not easy for any carer in that sense, but it's immensely grateful, or I'm immensely grateful for the stuff that you do for me. So thank you, and I love you. Guys, I'm going to leave you with the video now. Hopefully this has been useful, but please just remember, don't suffer in silence and don't suffer alone. That's not the way forward. Please talk. And like I say, my numbers are at the end of this video if you need them. Otherwise, take care, and thank you so much for listening today.
I had a black dog. His name was Depression. Whenever the black dog made an appearance, I felt empty and life just seemed to slow down. He could surprise me with a visit for no reason or occasion. The black dog made me look and feel older than my years. When the rest of the world seemed to be enjoying life, I could only see it through the black dog. Activities that usually brought me pleasure suddenly ceased to. He liked to ruin my appetite. He chewed up my memory and my ability to concentrate. Doing anything or going anywhere with the black dog required superhuman strength. At social occasions, he'd sniff out what confidence I had and chase it away. My biggest fear was being found out. I worried that people would judge me. Because of the shame and stigma of the black dog, I was constantly worried that I'd be found out. So I invested vast amounts of energy into covering him up. Keeping up an emotional lie is exhausting. Black Dog could make me think and say negative things. He could make me irritable and difficult to be around. He would take my love and bury my intimacy. He loved nothing more than to wake me up with highly repetitive and negative thinking. He also liked to remind me how exhausted I was going to be the next day. Having a black dog in your life isn't so much about feeling a bit down, sad or blue. At its worst, it's about being devoid of feeling altogether. As I got older, the black dog got bigger and he started hanging around all the time. I'd chase him off with whatever I thought might send him running. But more often than not, he'd come out on top. Going down became easier than getting up again. So I became rather good at self-medication, which never really helped. Eventually, I felt totally isolated from everything and everyone. The black dog had finally succeeded in hijacking my life. When you lose all joy in life, you can begin to question what the point of it is. Thankfully, this was the time that I sought professional help. This was my first step towards recovery and a major turning point in my life. I learned that it doesn't matter who you are, the black dog affects millions and millions of people. It is an equal opportunity mongrel. I also learned that there was no silver bullet or magic pill. Medication can help some, and others might need a different approach altogether. I also learned that being emotionally genuine and authentic to those who are close to you can be an absolute game changer. Most importantly, I learnt not to be afraid of the black dog, and I taught him a few new tricks of my own. The more tired and stressed you are, the louder he barks, so it's important to learn how to quiet your mind. It's been clinically proven that regular exercise can be as effective for treating mild to moderate depression as antidepressants, so go for a walk or a run and leave the mutt behind. Keep a mood journal. Getting your thoughts on paper can be cathartic and often insightful. Also keep track of the things that you have to be grateful for. The most important thing to remember is that no matter how bad it gets, if you take the right steps, talk to the right people, black dog days can and will pass. I wouldn't say that I'm grateful for the black dog, but he's been an incredible teacher. He forced me to reevaluate and simplify my life. I learnt that rather than running away from my problems, it's better to embrace them. The black dog may always be part of my life, but he'll never be the beast that he was. We have an understanding. I've learned through knowledge, patience, discipline and humour, the worst black dog can be made to heal. If you're in difficulty, never be afraid to ask for help. There is absolutely no shame in doing so. The only shame is missing out on life.